my name is Kristopher Hall. I am a assistant professor and current department chair of the Counseling and Marriage and Family Therapy Department here in Souls. First and foremost, the international aspect that they had. I was attracted to the international portion because it showed me that they had a commitment to other people's perspectives. So as you may or may not know, in Souls and before the pandemic, there was a requirement that students complete an international experience in as a part of their program in order to graduate. And the faculty was required to facilitate this for the students. And what that showed me was that the department was interested, and Souls in general was interested in what other people were doing. So we weren't just concerned about teaching these westernized models of counseling and teaching and leadership. It came with the expectation of you don't go to these places and gawk for several days at a time. You go and you give back to the community that you're experiencing. You find a way or find people that will allow you to do what the community thinks is best for you to serve that population at that time. One of the things that I've been kind of pushing in classes and trying to reiterate is advocacy. And in our multicultural standards now, over the last several years, they added advocacy in addition to knowledge, skills, and awareness. And the way that I interpret that is, as a counselor, you need to do whatever you can to make sure that certain problems are not problems in your clients' lives. So we know that we live in a society that is extremely unequal. Wages are unequal. Access to care is unequal. Access to jobs and resources is unequal. And a lot of that is the source of some of our clients' current distresses. So you as a counselor have a responsibility to advocate in whatever way that you feel is necessary to make sure that this is not a problem for your client. If they are coming in with an issue, how can you make sure that their basic needs are something that are already taken care of so that you are working on the higher level needs? It has impacted my work because it allows me to be honest about it. So really just being able to say, I understand that this is a white profession. This is a profession that was created by and to a certain extent for white folks. And especially in classes like when I teach theories, I let them know that these earlier theories really were not created with diverse populations in mind at all. So when we talk about Freud, when we talk about Adlerian, when we talk about cognitive behavioral, they were seen without racial context. But when you do that, it's not without racial context because whiteness is the standard. So that's always what is there underlying. So when I teach that class, it is also with the caveat of now you have to figure out how to adapt this. The theory itself is generally sound. It's been around for a long time. So the mechanisms of it work, but you have to understand why or how this may or may not work for whoever you're going to see and adapt it as necessary. But I also teach them that if you have to adapt it so far that it no longer resembles what it's supposed to be, then you got to use something else. That's not for you or that's not for that client. If you have a diverse, if you have somebody with multiple intersections coming into your class or coming into your therapy room, how do you adapt this for this client now? So it's not just a rhetorical thing. It's I'm handing you a case. You need to tell me what you're supposed to do with this. What are the pitfalls of this theory as it relates to this person? How will it fall short, knowing the fact that it wasn't made for them? And then how do you change it? I think it goes back to that advocacy piece that we discussed earlier and helping them understand how much power they actually have. So it's not just a vote. That's kind of the start. But after that, you have the capacity to affect change in your sphere of influence. I know I get very overwhelmed when I think about the fact that I can't always change larger systems the way I want to. I cannot change the world, but I can change my world. And sometimes that's enough. And we teach them that. So if you have anything that you're really passionate about, you have the opportunity to affect that particular thing and make a difference. Where do you have agency to work with them? Not just with your job, not just with your vote, but what else exists outside of that? How do you build community? How do you build coalition? How do you get the word out that here's a set of folks that need some help and here's what we can do about it? We as a collective have the power right here. So my favorite aspect of the work has always been student engagement. It's always been teaching. It has always been the classroom and being in an environment where we can learn together. And that is important to me to reiterate that we are learning together. I have knowledge and I'm sharing knowledge, but I learn just as much from them as they do from me because they come in with so many experiences and understandings and so many different ways to look at the work that it gives it texture. I value the relationships that I am able to create with students.